As the sirens wailed, the world around me shifted violently, blurring into a cacophony of whirling colors and frantic movements. I struggled to stay conscious as the paramedics lifted me from the wreckage. Each bump against the gurney sent icy shards of pain through my body, yet all I could think about was Daniel. Was he okay? Was I okay? The surge of movement continued to engulf me, and before I knew it, I was enveloped in the sterile scent of the ambulance, wrapped in a cocoon of urgency. Faces rushed past, obscured by masks and urgency, their voices blending into the background hum, a rhythm of frantic hope, each syllable drumming against my heart like an unrelenting metronome. "Lily! Stay with me!" A voice erupted into my hazy consciousness. It was the medic, her eyes sharp with determination, but her voice felt distant, a whisper from a dream I couldn't quite grasp. I turned my head slightly, catching a glimpse of Daniel, but he was obscured by the crowd, a shadow I desperately longed to reach out to. "Daniel!" The cry escaped my lips, raw and desperate, clawing through the fog of pain. But I was met only by silence, punctuated by the beeping machines around me, each sound a reminder of the life hanging in the balance. "Focus on breathing, Lily," the medic said, her voice a lifeline tethered to my fear. "We're going to get you both to the hospital. You need to stay calm." As they worked, injecting me with something warm that spread through my veins, I felt myself drifting, teetering between panic and a dreamlike state. In my mind, I conjured images of Daniel's laughter, the way his eyes sparkled when he shared a joke, the softness of his hand in mine. Each thought became a beacon, guiding me back to the present, and yet spiraling me deeper into a well of anxiety. I realized how fragile life was, a fleeting dance that could disappear in an instant. Memories flashed like fireflies, late-night talks under a canopy of stars, the instant connection that had sparked between us, as if the universe conspired to bring our souls together. In the depths of that darkness, there emerged a flicker of something, an iridescent thread of connection, a bond that felt beyond me, beyond any physical realm. The medics continued to bustle around, and I could sense the pulsating anxiety of my father just beyond my line of sight, a silent guardian battling his own demons as he clung to hope. And then, amidst the spiraling chaos, I felt a gentle squeeze on my left hand, a delicate, unexpected warmth that doused the icy tendrils of despair wrapping around my heart. I turned my head, momentarily forgetting the din of the world, as I met the soft eyes of a stranger. She was a nurse, her expression radiant with empathetic strength. "Lily," she said firmly yet gently, her grip anchoring me to reality, "you're not alone. We're all here for you. You're going to be okay." Her words washed over me like a balm, a reminder of resilience buried beneath the weight of fear. Despite the encroaching darkness, there existed a glimmer, a connection that bound us all. In that moment, understanding washed over me. Even in our fractured selves, we bore the inherent courage to endure. "Daniel," I muttered, frowning against the fog settling back in, searching for him through the chaos only to find the huddle of bodies appear frantic and scattered. "I need him, please." The medic moved closer, the urgency in her eyes unyielding. "We'll get you reunified. Focus on me." The words hung in the air, laced with fragility, and I clutched the nurse's hand tighter, feeling the warmth foster a flicker of courage amidst the swirling uncertainty. "We can't let him stop," she interjected softly yet firmly, grounding me. "You need to heal first. We need you both to be well for this to work." Fear thrummed violently within me, the ache of separation, of uncertainty gnawing at every nerve. "But what if?" My voice fell into a whisper, the helplessness threading through my words. She squeezed my hand tighter, the warmth protecting me. "You can't fight every battle at once. Sometimes, you must take it one breath at a time." As the ambulance lurched forward, the darkness that clung at the corners of my consciousness seemed to linger, an unwelcome companion I couldn't shake. Despite her reassurances, I knew the truth that loomed like a storm cloud. If Daniel was hurt, if he suffered because of my choice, I couldn't bear it. The next moments blurred together until the ambulance doors swung open, and bright lights flooded in, a stark contrast to the chaos inside. I was whisked away from the calm confines of our shared world and plunged into the arena of chaos that awaited outside. In that split second of exposure, I caught a glimpse of Daniel, cloaked in a blanket, his eyes wide yet searching. Just as I opened my mouth to call out, a deep rumble echoed through the air, an unmistakable tremor underscoring the weight of uncertainty that clung heavily on my shoulders. Panic arose, a throbbing sorrow that filled the very crevices of my mind, painting my thoughts with shades of despair. If something was wrong with him, it would fracture me beyond repair. The flash of recognition, just footsteps away from me, ignited my hopes, yet curled with an unseen danger. As if in slow motion, a medic grabbed my elbow and turned me toward the entrance, pushing me down the hallway where sirens faded into silence. Just when I thought I had comprehended the peril, just when my heart steadied beneath the gaping uncertainty, a shadow unfurled in the distance. The very shadow that had once seemed like a glimmer of salvation now appeared to eclipse everything. Daniel's voice echoed back into the now empty spaces of my heart, resonating deep within me, filling every nook and cranny that despair hadn't yet claimed. The promise of survival, of healing amidst the wreckage, surged forth again, a fire sparking within me, though newly tempered by the knowledge that the past had come back to haunt us. And in that chilling instant, with hope tangling itself with dread, I recognized beyond that swelling darkness a truth bloomed, a truth we would have to confront if we wanted to carve a path beyond this harrowing reality. The shadows lingering at the edges of our lives had stories of their own, and whether we liked it or not, they were about to step into the light we had fought so hard to ignite. The sterile corridors of the hospital felt like an endless maze, each step echoing the heavy weight of uncertainty that clung to my chest. With every fleeting moment, dread clawed at my insides like a wild animal desperate to escape. I took a deep breath, allowing the cool, antiseptic air to fill my lungs. Just one more breath, I whispered to myself, echoing the nurse's earlier words. The echoes of sirens still danced derisively in my head, a stark reminder of the fragility that had shattered our lives mere hours ago. Daniel's figure lingered, just out of reach, becoming an ethereal vision that flickered and faded. I thought of the last evening we shared, the warmth of his laughter and the way his presence made the shadows around me disappear. Now, all I wanted was to hear him call my name, to know he was safe. A woman in scrubs rushed past me, her expression tense yet resolute. My heart quickened as I registered the glimpse of hope that draped over her hurried steps. "Excuse me," I called out, my voice trembling. She turned, her expression shifting from worry to a soft understanding, and she slowed her pace. "Do you know where I can find Daniel?" I pressed, desperation lacing my words as they tumbled out. The question hung in the air, a plea that cut through the sterile ambience of the hospital like a knife. "Just a moment, ma'am," she replied, her voice steady. "He's currently receiving treatment but is stable, better than we anticipated." The weight of her words struggled to anchor my spiraling thoughts. "Are you family?" "Yes, we're together." The distinction felt important, as if it could weave an invisible thread between us, a reassurance that I wasn't alone in this storm. "Then follow me." Her brisk steps matched the rapid beat of my heart as I trailed behind. Each stride drew me closer to what I yearned for, brightening hope's flickering flame. Yet, as we moved deeper into the labyrinth of the hospital, anxiety settled heavier on my heart, coiling tightly around my reason. The nurse opened a door and beckoned me inside. "You have 5 minutes," she said before slipping away, leaving me alone in the dimly lit room. My eyes locked onto Daniel, his frame swallowed by white sheets, a mask perched on his face. It was difficult to reconcile this fractured image with the vibrant man I knew, the one who lit up every room he entered with laughter and warmth. Hesitantly, I approached, each step a silent prayer that he would wake up and smile at me like he always did. "Daniel," I whispered, my voice brittle and breaking under the weight of fear. I brushed my fingers against his hand, feeling the coolness of his skin juxtaposed against my warmth, a wave of vulnerability flooding through me. The machines beeped in a steady rhythm, each sound a reassurance and a reminder of how close I was to losing him. "Please come back to me." "I can't do this without you," I murmured, leaning down so my breath brushed against the warmth of his cheek. "I'll fight for you. I promise." And then, unexpectedly, his fingers twitched ever so slightly. My breath caught in my throat, hope igniting in my heart. "Daniel? Can you hear me?" I leaned closer, desperate for any sign of life beyond the gentle hum of the machines. My heart raced, clinging to the thread of connection that tethered us together. In response, his eyelids fluttered, and slowly they opened, revealing those familiar, soulful depths that had captured me from the very beginning. The world around me faded away as I locked onto his gaze, a flickering candlelight in a dark expanse. "Lily," he rasped, each syllable etched with pain but layered with the word I had longed to hear. A rush of relief enveloped me, and before I could process, tears streamed down my cheeks. "You're here," with a trembling smile, I nodded, my heart fluttering to life, but just as I began to feel the weight lift, a sudden alarm pierced through the haze. Red lights began to flash around the room, and the nurse rushed back, her demeanor shifting as urgency crackled through the air. "Code Blue!" she shouted, and my heart sank through the floor, laced with horror as the gathering of medical staff erupted into a whirl of chaos around us. The beeping machines pierced my consciousness, drowning out Daniel's gasps and the surge of adrenaline pooling in my veins. "Stay with me, Daniel!" I cried, my voice lost in the cacophony as I was jostled to the side. "Please!" I watched helplessly as they surrounded him, struggling to hold on to that fleeting connection, a thread now flapping in the storm. Moments stretched, and I felt the ground shift beneath me. The seconds felt like hours as reality began to blur wantonly. In the fray of confusion, a figure emerged in the doorway, a silhouette that altered the very fabric of my being. It was my father, his face drained of color, eyes wide with fear and recognition. An unspoken understanding settled between us, a bond forged in grief and urgency. "What is happening?" he demanded, breaking through the barrier of chaos, his voice a tether to grounding reality. I opened my mouth to answer, but sound eluded me, replaced by the deafening sensations of fear that coursed through my being. Just as I felt like I might drown beneath the tidal wave of despair, the nurse turned toward me, her eyes flashing with something else, something dark and volatile. "There are things you don't know, Lily," she said suddenly, her voice holding a weight that set my heart racing anew. "Things that will change everything." And it was then that the air around us thickened, heavy with more than just anxiety. A storm was brewing, and it held revelations I never imagined would shatter the fragile hope of survival I clung to with all my strength. My father's face reflected my own terror, awash in shadows of the unknown, and as I watched the chaos unfold, the question settled in my gut like a stone: how high was the cost of the truth that was about to surface? The room felt smaller as the chaos intensified, the clamor of voices filling the air like a suffocating cloud. I stood frozen for a moment, unable to tear my eyes from Daniel's still form, the battle for his life playing out against the backdrop of my own unraveling. The eerie shadows that flickered across the walls, cast by the harsh fluorescent lights, seemed to mock every fleeting moment of hope I had just grasped. My heart raced, beating a frantic tattoo against my ribcage as I exchanged a frantic glance with my father. His weary eyes mirrored my fear, but they also glimmered with an unyielding determination that rooted me in place. I thought of the countless times he had been my anchor, my fortress against storms. Yet, even then, I felt an aching alienation between us, years of silence and misunderstandings creating an unbridgeable chasm that loomed larger than the medical wrangling before us. The nurse looked back at me, her expression momentarily softening. "Lily, listen closely. Whatever happens in the next few moments may change everything. You need to be prepared." Prepared? The word echoed inside me, mocking the reality of how unprepared I felt. All I had wanted was to hear Daniel's voice, to share with him the trivialities of life and love that flowed so easily in the past. Now, I was being thrust into an abyss where nothing felt certain anymore. As I conjured up a flicker of courage, a piercing scream echoed from the room next door. No longer able to bear the rising dread, I turned my gaze back to Daniel. The machinery hummed and beeped rhythmically, an unsettling reminder of his fragile existence. I reached for his hand, intertwining our fingers, feeling so utterly powerless but unwilling to let go. The warmth of his skin seemed to ignite a fleeting connection amidst the chaos. "Fight, Daniel, please," I whispered, urgency lacing each word. "You have to fight." Suddenly, the commotion shifted. Intense voices and bustling healthcare workers became a fleeting backdrop as Daniel's grip around my hand tightened. My breath hitched, a flicker of recognition igniting in his eyes, as if he was mirroring the flickering hope I felt inside. In that pivotal moment, the nurse approached, her demeanor transforming into one of relentless determination. "We're going to try something," she stated firmly, her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that pushed my heart further down in my chest. "We need you here. Your presence can help guide him back." I swallowed hard, glancing nervously at my father. He stepped closer, his rough hand resting on my shoulder, offering a warmth that I desperately needed. "You can do this, Lily. You're stronger than you think," he murmured, his voice steady despite the trembling edge I could hear. Focusing back on Daniel, I whispered, "I'm with you. I won't leave you." It felt as though every word was a lifeline cast into an abyss. The nurse's fingers moved deftly over the controls while another team member elevated Daniel's head slightly. I could see how his chest rose and fell, a soft reminder of life straddling an uncertain edge. Moments passed, then a hopeful instinct pulsed through my veins, pushing me to speak louder. "Daniel, please, remember. Remember us, the good times. Remember our dreams, our plans." In an instant, his eyelids fluttered, and for a moment, the room dimmed as if every sound and ounce of motion faded, leaving only Daniel and me suspended in an ethereal dance. He struggled to speak, his voice hoarse but filled with the sincerity I craved. "Lily," and then, the room exploded in noise again, cutting through our bubble. A doctor burst in, urgent and commanding, and the nurse swiftly shifted gears, her demeanor morphing back into intense focus. "We need more pressure in the chest now." Crushed by the weight of helplessness, I stepped back, releasing Daniel's hand only briefly. My father gripped my arm, his own despair palpable, but my heart hammered wildly, longing to break through the barrier. "Lily, stay strong. He can feel you," he urged, an echoing resolve in his voice that I clung to desperately. "Don't let this moment break you." With a nod, I pushed forward, reaching for Daniel again, willing every ounce of love and light I harbored deep within to seep into him. "You can make it, Daniel. I'm right here." Then, as if responding, his body twitched, and his gaze turned back to mine, weary yet steadfast amidst unfathomable depths of pain and uncertainty. Through the chaos, a small burst of hope, a heartbeat resounded. But suddenly, the crash of heartbreak surged within me as the nurse's voice broke through the din, filled with an urgency I feared. "Lily, make way. We need to," but the words faded into the whirlpool of commotion, and panic surged through me like venom. I had felt moments slip from my fingers before, felt loss drip slowly away. This time, I needed to seize every fraction of time I had left. "I won't let you go, Daniel," I cried, reaching out. "I swear, we have so much left to fight for. I need you." But before he could respond, a sudden, staggering crash reverberated from outside the room, drawing every pair of eyes including my father's to the door. The nurse's expression altered as she exchanged worried glances with the doctor. "Stay put. We'll be right back," she called urgently as she rushed toward the disturbance, the weight of her words heavy with unspoken fears. Panic set in. My breath came in frantic bursts, but a deep-rooted intuition emerged: something was terribly wrong, and the hospital was becoming an echo chamber of uncertainty. The realization struck me like a flash, leaving me shaken. What if this was only the beginning? What if the secrets lurking beneath the surface unfolded, fracturing our newfound hope? Craving answers, I turned to my father, desperation clawing at my insides. What did that nurse mean? What more can they possibly hide? But as I glanced back at Daniel, I felt that unbearable pit coiling tighter, uncertainty swirling around me. Because before I could utter another word, an ominous sound echoed from a distance, a siren's wail growing louder. I knew something was wrong. And then I realized, in that moment, I was standing on the precipice of a revelation that could alter the very course of our lives. As the siren screamed through the walls of my despair, the dread slipped back in like an unwelcome friend. Everything was about to change again. I lost track of time, the dim light spilling through the blinds casting slivers of gold across Daniel's pale face. My heart raced, each passing second an eternity of waiting, catching whispers of nurses hurrying just outside the door, shared glances between doctors that felt heavy with secrets I wasn't ready to face. But what could I say? The uncertainty gnawed at me, sinking its teeth deep into my resolve, each tick of the clock echoing painfully against my chest. "Breathe, breathe," I murmured softly, each word a fragile tether to him, even as I felt time slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. I had promised I wouldn't let go, a truth I felt burning in my chest, yet the enormity of that promise weighed me down. Hope and dread danced together, each lithe movement more burdensome than the last. Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps reverberated back into my consciousness. The nurse returned, her expression more serious than before. "Lily, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady but urgent. I turned to her, holding my breath, expecting the worst. Is Daniel okay?" My stomach coiled with dread, and I felt my grip on Daniel's hand tighten instinctively, as if the simple act could keep him tethered to me. "He is stable for now, but we need to monitor him closely. There are complications we didn't anticipate," she began, her eyes softening slightly as she gauged my response. "We'll do everything we can, but there is something important you need to know." "What is it?" I rasped, my heart hammering against my ribs. "As I mentioned earlier, there is a chance he might not regain consciousness right away. We're doing everything possible, but you may have to prepare yourself for some tough decisions." The words hit me like a tidal wave, crashing into my fragile understanding of my world, tearing down the walls of hope I had desperately stitched together. "Tough decisions?" I repeated, the weight of the phrase pulling me downward. "I don't understand. What are you saying?" "I can't guarantee how well he'll respond to treatment. This injury is severe. I want you to be ready, just in case," she revealed gently. "No," I interrupted, the rawness of my voice cutting through the quiet tension. "You're saying he might not wake up?" No, he has to." I turned to Daniel, searching his face for any sign that he could hear me, that our bond was stronger than this creeping darkness threatening to consume us. "Daniel, you can't leave me. You promised," I cried, desperation lacing my voice. "You fought so hard, you're so strong. Just hold on a little longer." With that, as if summoned by my plea, the heart monitor began to beat more erratically. A shaky breath left Daniel's lips, not just air but a flicker of life, like the flame in a candle flickering against the wind. His eyes fluttered open, the stormy depths revealing a mixture of confusion and recognition. "Lily?" he whispered, barely above a croak, those familiar eyes searching mine, each syllable a fragile connection reborn. My heart soared, the hope anchoring me to reality. "I'm here, I'm right here." But then, darkness seemed to flicker in his gaze, and I felt my heart fray with worry. "No, I don't want to see you like this," I insisted, desperate for him to understand. "We'll get through this." "Lily, I can't breathe." His voice trailed off, eyes clouding as he struggled against the weight of his own existence. "They're here to help you, just hang on," I urged, but fear clawed back at me, memories of loss and uncertainty rushing to the forefront. Just as the nurse called for assistance, urgency lighting her demeanor, my father entered the room again, though this time, his weariness was evident. He held his gaze steady, a silent embodiment of the love and fear we both harbored, desperately aligned in his worry for me. "What is happening?" he demanded, stepping toward me, providing an unspoken shield against my spiraling thoughts, but I couldn't gather my thoughts, lost in the fresh anguish that surged within me like a tide. "He is slipping, Dad!" I cried, turning again to Daniel, who looked more fragile than ever. "We can't lose him. Not now." "Daniel, you have to stay with us," my father added, stepping to Daniel's side as the nurses rushed to stabilize him. They maneuvered around him with a careful urgency, and he flinched under their touch, a stark reminder of the reality spiraling out of control. "Where does it hurt?" one nurse asked, glances darting between him and the machines that whirred softly. "I just feel lost." His words slipped through cracked lips. Those simple syllables felt heavier than the words of an entire universe. Please don't say that," I begged, tears brimming in my eyes. "We'll find a way. I promise we will find a way." In that instant, as he turned his gaze to me, I felt a flicker of recognition. He understood there was so much left to fight for. "I didn't want to leave you, I promised," he rasped, each word clipped out between labored breaths. And in that moment, something clicked within me. As the intensity of the situation enveloped us, I suddenly understood, this wasn't just about surviving this moment, it was about the promise we made, a promise to hold on, to face the shadows lurking in the corners of our souls, together. Then fight with me, I whispered, leaning closer, desperately grasping his unwavering gaze. We'll navigate through this together. You just need to keep breathing, Daniel. That's all you need to do right now. As the chaos thrummed with an urgent energy around us, I anchored myself to those eyes I had come to love, sending out every ounce of will I had left, as if my belief alone could restore the light that connected us. And then, he nodded, just a flicker of life amidst the grey, a shared understanding that shone brighter than the machines whirring around us. In that instant, his presence enveloped me, an unbreakable thread weaving our hearts together anew. I realized then, with poignant clarity, that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, and the truths that awaited us were yet unseen. But regardless of the challenges that lay ahead, together we could confront the shadows and carve out our path forward. The depth of our connection rested not only on life or death but on an unspoken covenant of tenacity, of love, and the unwavering belief that no shadow could eclipse the light we'd nurtured between us. As we fought against the tide, I held on to the moment, feeling the warmth of his fingers encircle mine, pulse with life, as if to say, whatever came next could be faced together. And in that realization, the hope that tethered us together shimmered through the chaos like a beacon, guiding us home and illuminating all the unforeseen paths we had yet to walk. And in that precious heartbeat of eternity, my promise echoed, filling the air between us. I won't let go.